Okay, let's talk about what's happening in the world right now. We are seeing a drastic loss of free speech. People afraid to voice their opinions, afraid of being shamed, silenced, and punished. We're seeing a drastic loss of empathy and humanity, where people are so locked into their own ideologies and beliefs and righteousness that they cannot hold space for different realities. We're seeing a drastic suppression of free will, rules, systems, and expectations that are keeping people compliant, afraid to step out of the line. And we're seeing a drastic inequity of power, where a small group of people decide how the rest of us should think, feel, behave, and live. Now, pause for a second. That sounds awfully familiar to me. You know why? Because this isn't just a political or social issue, my friends. This is a parenting issue. For generations, you see, we have raised children inside a system that mirrors the very oppression we see in the world today. Think about how most of us were raised. Most of us were told how to think, not encouraged to think for ourselves. We were taught that obedience is good and questioning authority is bad. We were expected to be seen, not heard, because respect and compliance meant we would be loved. We learned early that love came with conditions and approval. If you behave, you are going to be fine, and you would be rejected if you crossed the line. And so what did we do? We adapted. We learned to suppress our voice so that we stayed safe. We learned to obey without question because pushing back led to punishment. We learned to accept power hierarchies in our lives because there was always someone above us controlling our every move. And now look at the world we've created, a world where people fear speaking their truth. A world where we've divided ourselves instead of coming together and being connected. A world where control has been disguised as protection. The same way our parents said to us, I'm doing this for your own good, as they took away our autonomy. Governments, institutions, and corporations always say this is for your good, your safety, as they strip us of our freedom. The system, my friends, is repeating itself. Because we were trained from childhood to comply, to seek external validation, to fear authority, and to trade authenticity for approval, this is all repeating itself. And unless we break the cycle, unless we raise our children differently, we will keep repeating oppressive patterns. The real revolution doesn't start in the streets. It's already too late. It starts in the home, with how we parent, with how we teach our children to know their inner truth, and we teach our children to trust themselves, to speak up, to think critically, to honor their own truth. Because if we want a different world, we must raise a different kind of human. That means we as parents need to be different. We need to allow our children to dissent against us. We need to allow our children to speak up against us, you see, but our egos are too big. And this is why I teach conscious parenting. So if you want to join me in the movement of conscious parenting and be an ambassador of its wisdom, because I said this decades ago, the evolution of the planet depends on the consciousness of the parent. All of what's happening here is happening because of unconscious parenting that has taught our children to know their worth based on what they do and what they have and what they achieve. That's why all of these people who we now are calling tyrants and dictators, they capitalize on others. They dominate others. They acquire and they take and they want more. All of this started in the home. If they felt good enough inside, none of this would happen. The common denominator is the unworthiness of the inner child. All of this acting out on the outside comes from an inner child that is unprocessed and unhealed. So will you join me on this path of spreading conscious parenting? Please join me. I need more people who can help spread the word so that this never happens again. So that at some point, our generational pain and patterns are healed so we do not do this to each other. Type the word coach if you want to join the movement.